I'll have everyone know it's not Lizette, it's Lizette.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Clearly, I'm slightly tardy this morning. I'm trying to get trying to get a few things knocked out. Um, so I didn't mean to keep everyone waiting, which is actually a good reminder. Just a quick housekeeping item that it should be the case that this meeting is startable by anyone. That anyone can
Yeah,
start it.
totally. I give a +1 to that.
Okay, and because the other, yeah, this one's an anomaly. Then I need to go look at the settings on this. Let's take a note, because all of the rest of them, um, you all can start. So that's not this. This isn't a special case. Boy, I guess we need an action item section. Mm. Nice. All right. Well, hey, one of the things that we've got is, well, we've got a number of new existing community members. So actually, if you're on the call, drop your name in to the attendees list. It is the 30th of April. It's the Friday before KubeCon, one of many events that are relevant to us, kind of, somewhat important to us. I understand, by the way, yeah, I think this has been announced. Actually, Nivendu, you know what? Let me not talk about it. We'll just put it as an item. Nivendu, do you mind listing out the name of open source, the Linux Foundation's open source something something?
I will add it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, while we're all sipping our coffee, hopefully, or while at least VJ and I are, if you've got topics, line them up. And just looking through the list of attendees, everyone knows everyone here. So, okay. So no introductions necessary, or at least everyone has been on the same call as everyone else here. So bunch of old timers. Oh, all right. Well, a housekeeping item that I'll try to take care of as we get up and going, and as I hand off the microphone, is there are a number of newcomers. I'm curious, for those that were on yesterday's call, the weekly Thursday newcomers call. Did we have some new attendees showing up? Because we had a few people new this week.
So yeah, we did have some newcomers showing about 3, 4. We had, let me get the names. Give me a
Nice.
second.
I'm gonna
So
try
we
to.
had Glashumar, Zoltan, Barun, Ayan. Yeah. So we had, I think that's 4. Yeah, we had 4.
Okay. It's a decent week.
Yeah.
Now, I wish that folks like Frank are on right now, or Nostradamus, because I would like to heckle them. Because actually it becomes, if you're an American, when you see the name Frank, it becomes like it's a pretty good guess that that friendly individual is Chinese, and they're doing us a favor by trying to choose an easy to enunciate name. And the way that you can kind of tell that is well, is that they're most often names from like the 50s. And so so it's always this telltale. It's like George or I don't know what a good another Richard, or I don't know what another good name is, but anyway, it is kind of them to make sure that we can enunciate their names. So anyway, or there's other folks like Nostradamus that, well, I don't know. This individual, his name's Goggin, and he had just helped raise up an issue for a new service mesh pattern, which is actually a first. It's kind of an important first. Because meshery, because some of you are contributing to a book that's being written on service mesh patterns, and some of you, or many of you, are contributing to meshery, which takes those patterns and brings them to life. And this individual had brought forth a new pattern and asked to add it to the list, which is great. We expect that there will be a large list. As a matter of fact, let me put this as a topic. There is potentially, there's potentially yet another project of its own coming out. Okay. Now that I randomly hit a bunch of different things, we've got some announcements this week. And I don't know that any of these announcements are particularly mine. Ruth, do you want to take it away?
Sure. So, hi everybody. Good afternoon from this end. So I'll start with the first one. Anita, human. I don't think she's here. She actually is on transit, so I doubt she'll be able to join. Her flight got delayed, so I doubt she'll be able to join. But she just joined the community management team, so congratulations to Anita. Um, in her absence, congratulations to her. So,
Thanks.
yeah. Then the second announcement we have. So Tanuj just completed his internship at Layer 5. So that's another drum roll for him.
Yeah, there it
So
is.
you
It'll be
you had to expand it.
it'll be framed. We'll get some cherry frame. I have to say something. I actually have to say, Tanuj did a fantastic job. Tanuj, I was just counting.
Yeah.
I think it was about 7 months, and
Mm-hmm.
I searched and searched. I had a really hard time coming up with a complaint to make about Tanuj, which is kind of a complaint unto its own, kind of frustrating for me. There's like always, I need something to complain about, otherwise I'm just not happy. So anyway, Tanuj did a fantastic job. I really,
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations, Tanuj. So Tanuj, the spotlight is on you. Do you have anything to say? Mm.
yeah, Tanuj, if you're on, I don't know if you have any complaints of your own.
Not really. It's been a wonderful internship. I got to learn a great variety of things. I'm truly grateful for that.
Yeah, congratulations once again, Tanuj. So the next thing we have, so 4 weeks ago, right, we brought in from She Code Africa. So if you're not aware of the Contribute On program, it's an open source program to diversify open source in Africa, and its mentees from She Code Africa. She Code Africa is an NGO here in Africa that um, mentors and supports women in tech. So 8 mentees came in from She Code Africa 4 weeks ago, and today they are graduating. Today ends marks the end of their 4 weeks mentorship program, and I'm so happy they are graduating today. Like we've both the mentors, and I'm really so grateful to all the mentors, and all the mentors did like a good job, trying to give in their time and guide the mentee. So I was a mentor. Anita Ihuman was also a mentor. Navendu was also a mentor. Josh Patel was also a mentor. Then Chinmay Mehta was also a mentor. And thank you to the 8 mentees graduating today in the presence of Naimat, Good News, Anisat, Joy. I don't think Joy is here yet. Elizabeth, Cynthia, and Abiola. Thank you so much for all the contributions you've made so far. I'll be doing a demo of the community handbook right later on. But thanks so much for all your contributions and all your inputs to the Layer 5 program. We are happy that you were able to contribute to the project. And oh, Joy is here, sorry. So thank you so much for every contribution you made, and we hope you stick around, right? We hope you stick around and keep contributing, and we also hope you had a good time. So if this permits us, any of you have anything to say, you can unmute your mic and just say something.
I'll plug my ears.
Okay. So Anissa wants to go first. Okay, Anissa, as you could.
Okay, I don't really have much to say. I just want to thank the entire community and also Ruth and Anita for their time and always there to like give constant feedbacks on that we've done so far. And thank you, Lee. Thanks as well. Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, okay, who's going next?
Okay, I'll go
Can I
next.
go next?
Okay. Okay, Elizabeth goes first then.
All right. So for me, it's actually been a great experience because personally, I used to think open source was for like professionals, for people with about 10 years experience. So it's just always something I never look into. Yeah, but like it's been amazing. I just realized that like every contribution is like needed and is appreciated, and like this community has just been fantastic. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time here, and I look forward to more contributions.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. We enjoyed your contributions too. So who's the next person going?
Okay, can I go Yeah, next?
Yeah,
that's me.
sure,
Hold on.
sure.
Didn't mention
Oh,
my name. Not
Sorry,
vex
I'm so
so.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't see
Hello?
everybody.
Can
Yeah,
anybody hear
sure.
me?
Yeah, sure. You are audible, Blossom. I think she cut off. So someone else can go. So we continue. We don't stop. We go ahead with the meeting. So one last person, please. I think somebody was. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't see.
So, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, sure. Can.
Okay. So, it has been really great. It has been a very great and like say a whole learning field, 4 weeks of contributing here, and the community has been so welcoming and amazing. Big shout out to Navendu and Piyush. They have been of great help, and yes, Roots, you too, you've been also been
Thank you.
instrumental to our progress here. And thank you so much, Lee, for the platform to learn and grow with the community. It's been wonderful.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, so I'll hand over to Navendu now. Yeah, Navendu's announcement.
I guess I'll postpone the announcement until some people join the call.
Okay. Okay. So Lee, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, a few of you hit hit a few things on the head. One of the words that Joy just used, I think, is a keyword. And it reminds me, as I was going through the community handbook that some of you have created. Well, it reminds me that sheepishly, I will admit that I still owe Abiola I have an outstanding action item that she that she might crucify me with. I'm not sure, but part of the action item was to help provide, some content, some context for what Layer 5 is, um, and I think it's it's a little. Well, I think it's a little bit different to different folks. Certainly, everyone enjoys some of the same things. The reason that it's a little bit different to different people is because well, different people have different goals or different places in their journey, so to speak, and we're not necessarily all on the same journey. A lot of them look similar, or they can be described in similar ways, but that's, you know what? I don't know that I've articulated this before. That might be part of the special sauce, so to speak, is recognizing each individual is passionate about particular things, enjoys a particular style of interaction. Some people really like bad jokes. Some people, roll their eyes. Some, just and taking a moment to embrace some of those differences, to try to be accommodating. It takes a little bit longer, and sometimes it requires patience on both ends, like just for everyone that's interacting. Um, the thing is, if you participate in that long enough, um, there's a number of things that happen. One, it's like, I don't even know. I stopped counting. There's like 20 something of you on the call, which is which I am quite quite proud of, and I don't take it unto me to be receiving the pride. The reason I'm quite proud of it is I'm on. Well, I consider that this is an important call, and we do some preparation. Like, we have an agenda. We try to go through some stuff, but I also consider that there's a number of other calls that I'm on that are quite important. Like, we're just deciding some things on those other calls, not Layer 5 calls, but other calls that are, well, there's a ripple effect of some of their decisions across the cloud native ecosystem. So either you will hear about our project or you won't, based on some of those decisions in the other calls. So I think that they are important things. And those calls often have half the number of people in them. So it's kind of an interesting thing to reflect on. And so part of what Lizette had said is, well, yeah, I think it was Lizette had said that, all contributions are recognized and important. And it's really true. Actually, one way of, I gave some examples in chat about why that's true, but one way of thinking, spinning that thought around, thinking about it differently is, well, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, shoot. It was a good thought. It was kind of a different way of reflecting on not just the fact that like docs are important, or engagement, or just having reception, like just being there to say hi to people and answer questions that they have. I forgot what the oh, that's frustrating. Anyway, one of the nice things about paying it forward, that each of you in turn, it's one of those things where you see someone else saying hi to someone, and pretty soon you start saying hi to someone, and pretty soon you learn something and you turn around and share it. And it's what Joy had said about a platform. Wow, I totally digressed. My initial thought was what Joy said about a platform is one way of articulating what Layer 5 is a platform for shared success. There are many people that come and go through here, and many people, those that spend any amount of time, whether that's a week, and certainly the longer that they stay, the more impacted their life is. There's many people who have their stars have been completely changed. Like they're off on a new journey in life, and they've both given and taken as they've in their time here. There's many who've gotten new jobs and directly because of the work that they've done here. And actually, a lot, like I don't know what percentage it is. Like most of them move on. Some of them continue to hang out because they recognize that they're not paying it back. They're not recognizing what they recognize is they're in that new role, or they've achieved that new thing, or they know that new technology, or they spoke at that conference, or they did that thing because of the platform that's here and the venue that they have to go grab it. Like there's any number of things that we want to do here. And the answer is almost perpetually yes. I think I was talking to Aditya recently. One of the things he had suggested is that hey, maybe we should look at, instead of using Jekyll, we should use DocuSource. It's like, hey, that's a better framework. Like you can't argue that. Like it's just a better framework. There's reasons why we're still using Jekyll, and the answer is kind of if you can do it, let's do it. And that's just a general statement. And so yeah, what a great way what a risk-free way for most people to gain experience, to build some new relationships, to meet others in the industry that they otherwise wouldn't. For my part, and I know for many of you, each of you have your own Rolodexes of relationships of people that you know. And mine is always open to those that want to be introduced to someone. There's a lot to be gained. So I encourage people to give and take at the same time. Yeah. Nice. Anyway, I'm super tickled that, I hope this comes off in the best of ways. I am the palest of any of you. And you know what? I'm the only, other than VJ, who's living in the US. Like, anyway, my point of calling out the diversity on the call is like, I guess everybody else is doing it wrong. I don't know. It's not like it's that hard to embrace others. Anyway, it pleases me no end that we're able to engage with programs like She Code Africa. It's really neat. Some of you gals, frankly surprised me. I just like, wow, I was going to go review a PR, and I thought, well, geez, this is here kind of fast, faster than I expected. And I go look at it thinking, well, that's probably because something was missed. It turns out, no, it wasn't. As a matter of fact, it was delivered rather well. And I don't say that, well, I just have low expectations of those that might come and participate for a while. That's not it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, that is such a treat to have people come and engage. So anyway, next topic, over to you, Navendu.
Yeah, so we have a new maintainer among us, and you I was hoping for a big reveal, but I guess yeah. So Husaina is our new maintainer for Meshery CTL, and she just joined the call, and she has been contributing to Meshery and other Layer5 projects for quite a while now, and she has been really sharing her knowledge, and she's already on a maintainer role. So yeah, I guess I will let you take it, Lee or Husaina.
No, people here. You don't want to
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's been great so far. Like, it's very welcoming community. So here I got to learn many things from all of you. So I hope to continue my contributions going forward as well, and learn from the community. So, which has been very welcoming, and I mean, when I initially started, I didn't know much. So
I was new to open source as well, though I have industry experience. So somehow Lee and others made this very welcoming community. Right? So thank you so much.
Yeah. There's something that I'm not sure if everyone recognizes. I think maybe even for many of you, if you were to ask yourself this question, well, okay, well, I get that, like, there are kind of these different hats that people can wear, different roles that people take on. There's and you know, and what all of those are, I think I'm pretty darn sure all of you would say, well, I'm not really sure. I can call out a couple, but that is something that we actually do need, and it's a great example of why we need a contributor handbook. I'm sorry, a community handbook, is to show the contributor ladder. Like, the ladder isn't about hierarchy of like climbing it and telling other people what to do. It's more like it's more like an inverted ladder where you sort of climb down it and you become more responsible and more of a servant leader. So anyway, being a maintainer means a couple of things. One, like some ongoing responsibility to review things from others, to provide guidance, to be a good steward of the projects. At its core, actually, for me, conferring a maintainer title or role at its core means trust. Hussein is someone who, well, someone that I trust. I mean, someone that will get on calls with users when they're having problems, help troubleshoot it. She'll represent the project in the best of ways. She brings more to the table than I think that she will politely recognize. And some of that, she just, like, it's kind of hard to even call out specifically. It's just, she's got a fair bit, she's well-rounded, got a fair bit of experience. That there's so many things as all of us journey through software, that so many of the paradigms are repeated and repeated. Like, it's the same system, it's the same problem. It's like, it's a different piece of tech, but it's like the same paradigm again and again. And as you go along, you get cuts and bruises and make mistakes and things. But as you learn and learn from those scars, you end up designing much better software. You also learn how to engage with people better, hopefully. That also, by the way, is part of the secret of something like open source, is psychology and not being a douche. Speaking of, I was talking to a Google engineer yesterday. What I really want to put together the word douche and the word bag, and I apologize for my French. He's wouldn't fit well here, but that's part of why the community works well. So anyway, can't believe I'm saying those words when we're talking about Husseina and bringing up her maintainership. But Husseina, I'm really tickled. It's pretty neat. I can't wait for more of you to achieve that role, and actually for Husseina to kind of accelerate through this curve, so to speak, because there's no way, there's such a, as a matter of fact, it's one of the things I was going to talk about today is the roadmap, and chat with you all about it, have you think about it, have you suggest things, have you reflect on it. And there is no way that we will achieve like 1/10 of the things that are listed there if folks like Husseina don't feel like, and don't not just feel like, but don't literally aren't empowered with a sense of ownership, and aren't empowered to carry things forward and be opinionated and you know, move and go and make decisions. So I'm hopeful that there are many more of you carrying that title at some point. And by the way, it's not me. I didn't even nominate Husseina because I don't particularly like Husseina. No, I didn't, I didn't nominate Husseina. I certainly talk about her behind her back more than she knows, and that's because I do like her. I do think that she's well intended, and like I said, it's like number one thing for me is trust. Like I just trust that she's gonna try to do the best for the project, and she, just like me, is gonna make mistakes as she makes decisions, and yeah, we all do. Um, but then it's not me that makes a decision about whether or not Hussein becomes a maintainer. It was a unanimous decision amongst the existing maintainers, and not only was it unanimous, but it was kind of an exciting thread. And so it's cool. It's good.
Thank you all.
Navendu, you might have another item in the first list of topics.
The open source summit.
Yeah.
So yeah, Linux Foundation is hosting open source summit, which is scheduled to I don't remember the date, but yeah, they have a suggested topic which includes service measures. So essentially, what we do at Layer5. So they are inviting proposals to talk for talks, and yeah, it would be a nice place for us to represent Layer5 and the work we do here.
Yeah, there's also a number of other topics, or like, I mean, there's just actually, it's sort of all of the things like, hey, this community doesn't get into all of the hardware centric things that are listed, but there is a lot with respect to actually all of the things that we do. There's things to talk about. It's funny that they put service mesh and observability. It very much so does that, and it does a lot more. But it is conferences like this that we do have an events calendar, and we do keep track of the CFPs, and we do try to help each other in terms of those that do want to speak to go. So Ruth just is going to give a talk, and Navendu just gave one, and they do that with some repetition. And so if any of you are looking to do that, one, ask the two of them on what they did to land the talk, and let me know if I can help. Part of the reason we were highlighting this particular summit is because I believe this will be held in person. I don't know if it says it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think I'm submitting a proposal, but then it's not going to be around service meshes though. But I'm still trying to think around that. But yeah, I heard it's going to be in person. Yeah. Before now, I think it was Dublin, or I think we changed it to Seattle.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been so long since there was an in-person. All right. Cool. Hey, quick question for all of you that join the Monday meetings, the ones that the websites call. For my part, I have the CNCF technical oversight committee. There's a private meeting that they've set up with me routinely, like overlapping by 30 minutes. So I'm wondering if we move it to start 30 minutes earlier, does that cause anyone heartburn? And if so, can we move it somewhere else, or we can leave it in place and someone else can lead that last 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't be leading the call in the first place. Or no, I shouldn't say shouldn't, but I don't desire to lead the call. So maybe we'll leave that out there. We'll probably do another like call for comment in Slack and see if adjusting the time is difficult for anyone. Also, even if we do adjust the time, please think about whether or not you might want to host that call. You don't have to do it all the time, but good to rotate in. Elizabeth, community member onboarding flow. Oh, Elizabeth, did you put that, or did I surprise you with that? I think I might have. So, so I volunteered you to talk about some of the work that you've been doing. And Elizabeth, I figured the web form that you've been working through on Layer5.io, do you want to walk people through your latest work there? I figured it might be.
All right.
And would you like to share?
Okay, I'll share.
Okay. So for context, as that is, many of you have filled in a Google Doc as you've become members of the community, and we get to know you. And we had intentionally had that process as a Google Doc for a long time because we felt like filling in. Sorry, Drew Bill made me chuckle. Filling in a Google form feels a little impersonal, not quite as high touch, or not quite as like, I can, I would sense that people might feel awkward filling in some of their personal info into a form. And so even though it took a lot longer for us to work with Google Docs, and it's kind of a pain not to have everyone's name into a spreadsheet so that we can better plan for different activities and who's interested in what things. Like at this point, the community has just grown big enough, and there's enough of you that like it has to go to a form. And so fortunately, Vinayak and Elizabeth and a few others and Austin have worked on moving us out of a Google form and into something that's quite nice. So
Oh, all right. So here's the form we currently have. What is actually left is moving it to the back end. Can anyone hear me?
yeah, I get
All
it.
right. All right. So I think I'll just be filling this in for demo. Oops, okay. Oh. So yeah, we have all of this form, and then so the next step was like took like some time, because like trying to contemplate on like some things and all, but we've been able to achieve this. So depending on who the user is, we have like a question for you to fill. So this is for developers, and like this is for users. Yeah. So we have this for users, and for standbys, we just have like a page displaying like what we do and some other stuff. So yeah, I'll just continue as a developer, filling my interests, and then continue. And yeah, just like we have it on the Google form. I think there are still some changes that needs to be done, like the font sizes and like some other little things. But aside that, this is what we currently have. And the main important thing, just like on the Google form, is the username, the email address. I mean, their names and the email address. And then after they fill the form, we take them to the community handbook, or a documentation, like the docs. Yeah, so that's basically what we have now. I don't know how to move it to the back end. So I think, I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually that's a great thing to talk about a little bit. Is anyone on the call that is familiar with what happens on the back end when the form is submitted? And this is a little bit of a different scenario than, well, maybe than some of you have experienced in the past, or it's a little bit slightly different than what I've worked with in the past. And that's because this site itself, it's static. It's not database driven. Like you might run a WordPress blog or something, and that's built on the LAMP stack. So it runs MySQL as a database, and you store your posts and who authored it and all those things, and you retrieve it. Every time a page comes up, there's a database call, and it retrieves that info and shows it. So it's somewhat, dynamically driven by a database in that sense. In this case, this site, it's pre-compiled. Well, compiled. Lots of air quotes going around with flexing and compiled. And well, okay, so there's no web server. There's basically an open file share that's sharing this site, because when the site is built, it's a set of static files that you can look at even locally on your machine, without running a web server. Or yeah, yes, without running a web server, just running an open file system. Okay, fine. So then when you submit the form, then what does the processing of the form when you post the form? Do people have who can educate us on possibilities here?
When you look at that source, when you click on settings and source, what do you see? Does it have HTML? So so the question is, it has to be something, right? So if it is not HTML, is it an image on an HTML page? So if you have a button, so you're posting something to a particular URL, and whatever it is that you're posting to will have to process that particular request. And what you pass in the URL or in the body would go to the site. I mean, that's generally how websites work, right? But I'm curious, if it is compiled, what is it compiling to and what is it compiling from?
Yeah, right. And VJ, that's right. Yeah, right. So the site itself is HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and like those are the artifacts that come out of the build, out of the npm build of this Gatsby based React, JavaScript React based system or site. And so yeah, when you click post, or I'm sorry, when you click submit, there's an HTTP post that's as part of the action here. Actually, Elizabeth, if you right click on the screen and try to inspect for a moment. Anyway, in this particular case, there's a number of different services out there, SaaS offerings that can help facilitate the that you can post to. Normally, or not normally, but historically, the way that this would have worked is you'd be running a web server, and that server is actively listening and processing any incoming requests, any incoming posts, that have the contents of all the entries that person filled into the form. In this case, since we're just hosting this off of GitHub Pages, there's a different, we're using an external service, someone else's web server. We're posting that content there, and there's a litany of services out there that you can use to do that. And in particular, one of the ones that we're using, it'll receive, in this case, some people might refer to that as a webhook, like sort of a fancy way of saying just the same thing that you're posting somewhere. And anyway, the service that we're using is called Integromat, and it's not super special. It's just free, or part of it's free. And so it'll receive the form data, parse through the JSON, and in turn, we tell it to populate a spreadsheet. Basically, actually the same thing that would have been done with a Google form. Because on a Google form, you can, when you click submit, you can tell the form to populate a spreadsheet. And that automation, it doesn't just populate a spreadsheet, and now it helps out the community managers that are here. It helps process a few. It helps give the new user or the new community member access to some of the community, like to the community drive, to the mailing list, those types of things. And so, yeah, that's a really long answer to the short answer is just it posts to a third-party service that has been configured to do some automation, do a little bit of workflow. Also, like it sends a Slack message to let people know, to let some of the community managers know someone new has filled it in, and maybe you should go review and see what they're interested in and engage with them. And so to some of you, that might be kind of interesting. To some of you, that might be really boring. To others of us who are cheap bastards like me, who don't want to pay for a web server, it's quite interesting because it's a free way of doing that processing. So speaking of just random piece of information, there was a report written this week about how free tier CI, continuous integration systems like GitHub Actions and Travis CI and Circle CI and others are being abused by Bitcoin miners. So they get the free tier, the free tiers, and they run workload, they run Bitcoin mining. So but I'm just reading through some of the chat. And so, right. Yeah. One of the things is, hey, Google Sheets has an API. You can post to a Google Sheet. You could just take this info directly and post it to a Google Sheet. That technically that works. One of the challenges though is, well, when you try to authenticate to Google's API to interact with a Google Sheet, it's like, well, you need to have a credential. And so where is that credential being stored? Well, it's really kind of just one place to store. Like you can obfuscate where you're going to store it and have it try to be confusing and where you're going to keep that token and things. But really, there's like no way to secure that client side. And so that's why having an intermediary service helps, because otherwise you're going to have to give people your Google API token. And so, right. Well, Elizabeth, thank you for this. Yeah, you're right. There's a couple of changes to the flow in Figma, but wow, this is what I might refer to as like a white glove experience, sort of a classy kind of a high touch. I don't know of other communities that have it like this. So we're just going to spoil everyone that comes through, and they're not gonna enjoy other communities. I think it's going to be Elizabeth's fault as well. And so in the meeting minutes, if I can find all right, this is not the screen, but if you're enjoying a little bit of Ambassador, let me try to find the right screen to share. So what else did we have to talk about today? I think it was, here it is. I think it was, what do you guys want? What do y'all want to talk about? Do you all want to talk about potential roadmap stuff? Or actually, we should probably talk about the community member handbook. Actually, Ruth, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So my tabs are quite messy. Could you share?
Oh yeah, sure. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so some time ago, like 4 weeks back, we had the idea of, making a community handbook with basically all the resources and most of the resources, that a newcomer would be helpful to both a newcomer coming into the community and to a community member looking for a particular doc. So before now, we had like all the different documentation like separately for, let's say, the repository overview was separate, the community welcome guide was also separate, and the newcomer. So, there was this difficulty of navigating through all, and I think Lee has not officially announced we have an amazing bot now.
Yeah.
I'll wait for Lee to say that.
No,
So,
no. Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, you mean like the big block message? The,
yeah, the beautiful text. Yeah. So, um, so, the purpose of this handbook was, to provide those resources in one. So it's like, okay, you have the community handbook, and all the APCs of like Layer 5 community is in the handbook. And before the mentees from She Code Africa came in, we had started, but it was really rough. It was empty basically. It was just a rough document. And in 4 weeks, Abiola and Nisat and Good News have done like very good work with this, and they've populated this doc with a whole lot of resources, from the newcomer guide to the community guide to the repository overview, a whole lot of even resources as per mentorship programs, different mentorship programs that, that go on in Layer 5 community, some context about that. They've done an amazing job. And, I think I was, going through this yesterday. I was trying to, fixing typo errors, and I was really happy, trust me, having, seen a project that, was at the scratch 4 weeks ago, come back to turn into a full. I think we are 95% on this. We are still trying to make some formatting, and really still trying to, put in a little context, but they have been amazing. And the mentors, thanks to the mentors, Anita and myself too, we have been trying to review, and we are getting this up, right? So very soon we'll just I think we are thinking on how to, present this better, because I think the Google Doc, it's always going to keep scattering at a point, right? So we are still thinking of how to do that, but this is beautiful. This is really beautiful. And yeah.
it is. It's well, it's 50. It's complete, comprehensive, I should say.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, like having a single reference is a really, like, especially a memorable URL that
Mm-hmm.
all of you can hand it to whomever is asking about those darn Git commit sign-offs, or whatever, the commonplace things that people ask about. Like, and actually consolidating it means that we repeat ourselves less. We probably have better content in here because more people review it, more people read through the
Mm-hmm.
same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Any challenges from those that worked on this? Any
Yeah, so I think you, Anissa, good news. You could drop your challenges on working with this, because I knew there were a lot. If you don't say it, I'm going to say it. Okay. Mm. Okay, so majorly, one of the challenge was, the setting up the contributing guideline was tough, right? Because first, some of the projects we are not familiar with, like the mesh projects, right? So, and writing a contributing guideline for something that is not your stack is quite pretty hard. So I know there were points where we were confused on which step to push out, or which step was unnecessary, right? So there were some confusions around the contributing guideline for metric project and setting up your dev environment, right? Because we're trying to remove like avoid redundancy, like keep repeating stuff. So it was really hard to get what are we going to take off, because yeah, so that's like something that was really hard.
Yeah. Um, yeah, some of the things that will be referenced a lot is actually, we just had a contributor come by a day or two ago. They wanted to help fix, it was a relatively simple and straightforward issue, but it was, you needed to run Jekyll on the dock side, I think, to fix it. And they were running Windows, and they're like, oh, I,
Problem with Windows and Jekyll.
and so having the written instructions readily available means some of what I would encourage all of you that have put this together or that think through this is, well, some of the things that'll happen in GitHub, for example, if someone creates a new issue or they get a PR merged, there's a bot that will come by and say something, and maybe what it's saying needs to be updated, or maybe there should be like, here's a link to how to run Jekyll on Windows. But yeah, what a nice piece of work, I guess. I think Ruth. So I know Ruth and Anita and the other mentors and myself are hopeful that that you'll be able that all of you will continue to hang out and take some of this forward. Part of, I think, Ruth's goal. Ruth is part of the thinking here, that this might eventually go on to under the Layer5 IO/community section as a possibility.
Yeah, we're trying to think of putting it there, so we get like you said earlier, you mentioned something about just the URL that has that section, right? So we're trying to see if, but my question around that would it not be an overload on the site to have all this information there?
Care needs to be taken to make sure that there's the answer is no, if you do it right, or if you take time. So the thing about putting onto a different subdomain means that you end up with fragmentation again. Like, part of the point here was to defragment things and bring together into a singular place. Like, here's the reference. And you could do, and I'm not saying that you've suggested this necessarily, but putting some words into your mouth, you could do community.layer5.io. And that's very memorable, and you can point people there, and it would be purpose-built.
Okay, yeah, just the way the docs. Yeah. Just the way we have the Meshri docs.meshri.io.
Yeah. The issue,
right.
So we strive, we strive not to do that kind of a thing, though. We strive to do more like, Elizabeth and a couple of others, I think, are familiar with an up and coming effort to dramatically expand, to actually have learning paths and courses offered for free on Layer5.io. The original thinking was that it would be a subdomain, because it would be a bunch of content to navigate through, and it would need its own navigation. And that's reasonable. But the other contributors were just showing how we can keep it within the same domain, which is advantageous, because then people, they get a really high class experience because they're in the same site. You just have to have care taken for it.
Okay, so I think that works. So I just wanted to be sure it wasn't an overload. So that works. So would start making plans to move this to the the main site. It's going to look very beautiful because I think on the dock it rearranges a lot.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, we're 4 minutes after. Okay, so yeah, we won't do roadmap review, but that's well, actually, I was going to say it's a good topic for this coming Wednesday. Next week is KubeCon, and so I don't think that we're canceling any of these meetings. I don't think that there's an overlap, but we'll be sure to notify if so. So if I can, I'll try to send out there is a roadmap for Meshery in the community drive today. For my part, I had been trying to get into a spreadsheet because it's a lot longer list than is easily digestible in a doc. So I'll try to get that cleaned up and sent out for everyone to think over. Ruth, anything else for us today?
No, thank you everyone. To the full meeting.
Congrats again, everybody. This is awesome.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
everyone.
we had so many announcements today, like beautiful announcements. And I just wanted to ask is, Husseina the first maintainer that is a female?
That's a great question. I want to say that, I mean, I don't want to say that she is because I'd rather that she, but like technically.
Oh yeah, I did meet her.
Yeah, like technically Harshini, like the thing is this is no blight on Harshini, but she did like, I don't know, 1/50th the amount of work that Hussein has done, and I'm not exaggerating. And so but Harshini was a maintainer for one of the adapters, the Meshery adapter for network service mesh. And so yeah, it's not a fair. So technically no, but maybe in spirit, yes.
Sure. Okay, that was my question.
Nice. All right, until next week.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye guys.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.